That's the LG booth. Covered with plywood, these little stools about 6 feet apart with a QR code that you can scan and see the latest product. They called it the Life's Good Lounge. They did have some products to discuss though. Who here has an OLED TV? Well, you're going to see a lot more of these on the market. They now have a 42-inch for small rooms and gaming. Their G2 series, they've expanded to 83 inches and 97 inches. That's the largest OLED TV we've seen. They have a new brightness booster technology that uses deuterium. Anybody know what deuterium is? Heavy water? Costco and Target now sell them. When they're in Costco, Target, Walmart, you know this is a mainstream technology. I'm outside the Panasonic booth. At the last minute, they basically pulled everybody out, told there would be no equipment demos and no booth personnel aside from the reception desk. And they obviously expected a lot more people to show up to take this self-guided tour. So, let's see what's inside this massive booth.
We ask that you maintain physical distancing as you move about the space. Please note the exit is in the opposite corner of where you entered.
All right, we have this big empty space with projection mapping. That's it. That was the Panasonic booth at CES. That's how you maintain your floor space for next year. Fill up an empty room with projection mapping and show a 10-minute video of how you're committed to sustainability, and then leave the rest of it open as a lounge. So LG Display, and you guys know, I love these people. We call their booth every year the candy store. They show some really cool things. They opted at the last minute to do their press briefings virtually. So the videos I'm going to show you are all stuff that they produced. But their focus this year was on flexible displays and transparent displays. So I'm telling you, when you watch these videos, you're going to want one of these. That beats the heck out of Peloton, doesn't it? Gotta get me one of these. And for the home, transparent OLEDs are about 40% transmissive. Super thin, full color, very clever. Now, this alone made the trip worthwhile. If I had seen nothing else, although seeing Wayne Newton kind of maybe did not make the trip worthwhile. That was just scary. Anyway, Samsung, you've heard about this. Quantum dot OLED. This is a revolutionary new technology. They're using blue OLEDs to provide the blue color in the display, and then the blue energy excites red and green quantum dots. We had a breakfast roundtable about this. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it, but I'm going to show you a video clip about how it works. And I'll be here all day at the show if you want to have some more discussions about how this all goes together. the yields on these panels are running about 30% right now. So don't expect to see these anytime soon. So yes, this is an awesome display. We did see peak luminance readings of 1500 nits, but we also saw a lot of light crush, so this was not a calibrated display. And as I said at our breakfast roundtable, when I mentioned that to them, they immediately fell back on me. Well, these panels just came from the factory and they're set in the brightest mode possible, so we're really not sure about that. And they can't tell me how long the blue lasts. Dark blue is the most unstable of all organic materials. So the first answer was 30,000 hours, which we know is total BS. So we're trying to find out more about it, but there's potential here. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this display. 335 watt consumption for a 65-inch model, by the way. Over in the Sony booth, there's another interesting approach to maintaining the Sony corner. Didn't have an awful lot to see, only 4 products. So it was really largely a placeholder booth. They had 2 electric cars, a drone, a mini satellite, PlayStation 5, and for the first time that I can ever recall, no televisions. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here.
Well, so last night at the press conference, we announced Sony Mobility Inc., which is going to be launched this spring, which will be an endeavor for Sony to look at the viability of producing an EV vehicle. The focus that was mentioned last night was the new Vision S02, which is the SUV model. Really, the Vision S program has started out as a high-technology test bed for our safety cocoon and our entertainment systems. So, the 40 sensors inside this vehicle are built there in order to provide safety and entertainment. So that's what we're talking about today.
And so the S02 that we looked at, that's got 40 sensors in it?
Yes, internal and external. That includes CMOS, time-of-flight sensors, radar, ultrasonic sensors, as well as LiDAR.
So if you're looking at things such as where the shoulder of the road is, cars in front of you, cars in back of you.
Yeah, so currently the Vision S is a Type 2 level automated system, which means it keeps you in the lane and has some differences between the car in front of you. There's some basic lane change functions where if I put on the blinker, the car will check and then will move me into the opposite lane. I think the goal is at some point to get to a level 4, which is driver in the seat as opposed to a driverless vehicle, but being able to manage all of the driving functions for you down the road.
So we're going to be living in an upside-down world. We'll be driving Sony cars on Tesla smartphones and nobody wants to make televisions. Micro LED, up and coming. Samsung showed micro LED and they've expanded their display line. They have 89, 101, and 110-inch models. They're still very expensive. Conventional LCDs and QLEDs in their line will be joined by white OLEDs. They're going to start buying them from LG and come up with another tier of TVs. So how long before white OLEDs and QD OLEDs and micro LCDs displace LCD TVs? But more importantly, how long before you get tired of display acronyms with Q, L, O, E, W, and D in them? 8K TV, what happened to it? It's out there, you can buy them, but not a lot of interest in it. At the show, TCL, Samsung, Hisense all showed them. They're all LCD technology with quantum dot backlights or full array backlights for HDR. But the sales of these TVs are still minuscule compared to 4K models. And the reason is 4K TVs are cheap. You can buy 70-inch TVs now for between $600 and $700. So nobody's rushing out to buy one of these, and probably because they sit too far away from them to really see the benefit. On the other hand, and we had a discussion about these projectors, which a lot of us thought would never take off, these ultra short throw laser DLP, these things are selling like crazy. People love them. You can be set up for screens as small as 75 inches, which is kind of pointless, considering how cheap an LCD is, or as large as 120 inches. And above 85 inches, they're a lot cheaper than an LCD. So BenQ, Samsung, TCL, LG, Hisense, Sony all offer ultra short throw models. Canon showed this real interesting lens, the RF 5.2 millimeter f2.8 fisheye for 360-degree virtual reality views. It takes a little while to get used to that viewfinder.
All right, so what we have here today, my name is Drew McCallum, Technical Advisor at Canon USA. What we have here today is the Canon EOS R5. Mounted to it is the new RF 5.2 millimeter f2.8L dual fisheye lens. Now, this lens is built for doing VR 180 stereoscopic video. You can see it has 2 lenses built there. What you see in the back is a dual fisheye look. Now what happens is these two images are recorded to a single sensor. In 8K, 30p, you're able to take that video file into your computer, Adobe Premiere, our EOS VR plugin, our EOS VR utility is a standalone for out, and then convert that file to a usable VR equirectangular video for use in any headset or video player for VR work. So, price per lens is about $2,000. Just mount on any R5 with a new 1.5 firmware, and you're up and running doing VR in one single camera. You don't have to worry about two cameras and two sensors having to match up in your editor.
Not a lot of VR at the show, but we did see some augmented reality eyewear. TCL and Vuzix and a few others show these new, what I call Clark Kent glasses. These micro OLEDs or LED screens to show data, and they are really capable of cranking out a tremendous amount of brightness, up to 10,000 nits. You need that because of the polarizers and other things. You lose a lot of the light along the way. So they're now developing hardened models coming to market for warehouse and factory applications.
Yeah, hey Pete, this is Paul Travers. I'm the president of Vuzix. We make smart glasses for enterprise applications, anywhere from the medical space, warehousing, picking, work instructions. It's basically frontline workers that need to work hands-free. Today they're trying to give these folks a tablet, hold a tablet up, and then tell them to turn the screw, almost impossible. What's unique about Vuzix technology is we've been really working on making the optics and display engines small. This pair of glasses right here, let me pick them up for you. These guys right here, they look strikingly like a regular pair of glasses from the front especially. They have these little teeny display engines built into them. This guy right here is the display itself inside this engine is about the size of a grain of rice. It's 0.16 inch diagonal. It's reasonably good resolution, especially when you think pixels per inch, because they're 1 micron size pixels inside the display. This thing puts out 2 million nits a light. What's beautiful about that is you put this in here, and even though waveguides are typically fairly inefficient, with that much light, that inefficiency problem goes away, and you can make super small, super sexy form factors. That's what Vuzix is doing. We're doing it though for applications like this gentleman over here, work instruction kinds of stuff, like I said, medical kinds of things, etc.
The North Hall at CES, which opens an hour before the rest of it, because nobody goes in the North Hall, is all digital health. So all these companies were showing cool things, such as antivirus place. I still don't know what robot make on contact table means. People like Sleep Number were there, and of course Abbott Labs that donated all the Binax tests were there. So here's an interesting use for an LED other than to use as a light, stage light, backlight. We actually use them for medical purposes. So a company called CareWare has developed a line of LEDs with specific wavelengths of color for therapeutic use, attached to your skin using hydrogel patches, and using to treat all kinds of injuries.
As you can see, the idea is I can put the device on the light patch here. It's checking the battery level, and then tells me that I have remaining treatments. And now this happens to be a blue light patch. As you can see, their LEDs are printed. These LEDs are very small, about 3 times the size of a red blood cell, and about 25 microns. And basically, we then adhere these to the skin surface with a hydrogel. We have different colors of the patches, and you can see here this is a hydrogel right here. And that can just stick right on the skin surface.
Okay.
And we can now take this device, little controller unit, put it on here, we turn it on, it will go back through, and now I have a fully wearable LED device. This one happens to be magenta, which is a combination of red and blue light, and it allows us to treat pain. Edema, it's very useful for accelerating healing, particularly in sports injuries. And we have more than 110 professional teams using the product routinely and it's covered in workman's comp programs. So these are Class 2 medical devices, and they're also CE approved for the EU, and we sell them globally.
I don't still know what this sign means. It is hanging above a booth in the central hall, but this is very typical for CES. It kind of leaves you wondering. In the West Hall, the new hall that they built in the gold parking lot, many automobile guys were put over here. There's a lot of empty space because they all bailed out. Some stuck it out. There were a few surprises, not too many autonomous vehicles, but everybody and their brother is getting into EV. So this is a Vietnamese company, VinFast. It's the first automobile manufacturing company based in Vietnam. They showed 4 different models. At CES, these electric vehicles, they have a state-of-the-art robotic manufacturing facility, but the reason that everybody was crowding into their booth is they were brewing fresh Vietnamese coffee. Who's had that? Oh, that stuff is awesome. Fisker continues to show the ocean. They haven't been able to ship it yet for 2 years. It's a wonderful looking car. They have a full top sunroof, limo mode, can open all the windows in the top at once, but they still can't deliver it. And yeah, I'll pass on these. I don't know why every one of these autonomous cars looks like a toaster on wheels, but just not really interested. That Renault looks like it should have a key sticking out of it to wind it up. What we're looking at here is an autonomous race car. Not the first time I've seen one here at the show. I'm still not 100% sure what the point of an autonomous race car is. But I suppose if you're a racing team, you don't have to worry about hiring and firing drivers. The question is, who drinks the milk after the Indianapolis 500 when they win? And who do they give the champagne to spray on the crowd? Here's the Hisense monitor we saw 2 years ago on our way out of the show. It's a dual cell 4K monitor, great for cinema. It has a model number. It's got a full color UHD panel and a second 1080p panel for modulating light. 1000 nits peak luminance, full array LED backlight, and just as the case was 2 years ago, I couldn't find anybody to tell me anything about it, where it's available, or what it costs. Samsung, you know, leads the market in foldable phones. This is the Galaxy Z Flip 3. This is a shippable product. You can buy these, and people spent a lot of time flipping them, and then people would run over and wipe them down with disinfectant. But they also showed a prototype that flips horizontally. And I actually think this makes more sense than the vertical one. So keep an eye out. This is a growing market. Toshiba, well, they don't make TVs anymore. They've been out of the market for quite a while. So what happens is they license their brand to Hisense, and they're going to be selling mini LED and OLED TVs. So there'll be value-priced OLEDs to go to Walmart, Target, BJ's, and Costco. Shows you again how mainstream OLED is becoming. BOE, most people don't know who this is, and it's not the Benevolent Protectorate of Elks. It's not a social organization. It's the largest display manufacturer in China and one of the largest in the world. Their big market is heads-up displays and in-dash displays for automobiles, buses, and other vehicles. So, there were no South Hall exhibits this year. They didn't use it. They're not using it in NEB either. So guess who finally made it to the Central Hall? They were marooned among Chinese companies for years that would never use their services. And because the people that bailed out, they wound up next to the LG Plywood Life's Good Lounge. Had their mail truck signs and their wacky video game, but they couldn't tell me where my Christmas packages went. And now the thing you all want to see. So we're in the tunnel going from the Central Station to the West Station. A Tesla. I think you're supposed to be autonomous.
I think that was the original thought.
Yeah.
But to see the Las Vegas right now. Right now.
So when you go to NAB, you'll be able to ride this from the Central Plaza to the West Gate, or excuse me, the West Plaza, and also the South Hall.
Yeah, the attendance here is a lot less than it was expected to be.
Yeah, it looks like a light NAB.
SEMA had
And eventually it's going to be extended to the strip.
For this loop. Yep. Yeah. And the strip, stadium, airport, and Los Angeles on the side. Whoa. Awesome. The airport. Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
Very cool. I would try it. You go down an escalator and there are cars continually pulling out and leaving. So uniformed attendants will guide you to your car, you hop in, bingo, you go through a tunnel, you're in the West Hall, or back to the Central Hall. And if they decide to use the South Hall, you can go there too. But their next connection will be to the new Conrad Hotel and resorts, and ultimately they want to try to connect up and down the strip. Another one of Elon Musk's brainstormed ideas when he's not busy launching satellites into space that get burned up by solar flares. So anyway, I want to say thank you. This is actually the end of my presentation. For change, I've had Mark standing there rushing me off stage. For sitting through these annual CES recaps, for putting up with my bad jokes and puns, for all of your great questions afterward. It's been a lot of work to trek out to Las Vegas every year, shoot over 1,000 photos and dozens of videos, and somehow make it all into a coherent narrative. But it really has been a labor of love. So, that concludes my presentation. Mark, if you want, I have a little bit of time left. I can take a few questions from the floor. It's up to you.